everyone. I am so sorry. I don't know what happened, but unfortunately, something with the audio was not working yesterday for some reason. And unfortunately, there were those that were trying to obviously view the content that I wanted to upload and get caught up with. But unfortunately, for some reason, I don't know why it did not work at certain points and how it worked in others. So I'm going to try to go through each individual video again that I wanted to upload, and hopefully it works. And I am so sorry. I have no idea why it was not cooperating with me. But I will try to review every single video and make sure that that from my end the audio is working. I don't know why it suddenly goofed on me again, because I have had some audio issues within the past. But without further ado, let me go through what I wanted to discuss for this Something Bad Thursday, and then go all the way through all of the videos that need to be uploaded, including today's video, which is Monday. So yes, lying, as you can probably tell by the thumbnail as well as title. Generally speaking, I think it has been argued throughout various societies and cultures that lying is not necessarily the most virtuous thing in the world, and can lead to a lot of negative consequences. And I think overall that sentiment remains true. Obviously, there are some shades of gray that you could associate with when it comes to lying, like being dishonest in order to maybe surprise somebody, or you know, maybe being not maybe doing it for the sake of maybe not hurting somebody's feelings, those kinds of things. I can understand when there's certain kinds of shades of gray that go in with this whole concept. But what I'm primarily talking about is the line that is designed to be self-serving. And what I mean by self-serving is that you create a lie for the sake of making yourself look sort of good, or you create a persona of yourself that is completely inaccurate from the truth. And I think this is primarily a bad thing for a variety of reasons, but I think you can largely attribute this kind of lying to sort of withholding truth, and withholding truth sort of has a certain amount of power. And I think once somebody knows the truth, and once somebody uses and kind of twists the truth for their own ends, it eventually leads to being very deceptive and manipulative, and therefore you gander to those who unfortunately end up believing in you. So I think that's really has been seen to be very destructive, and a lot of it is attributed to this concept of really taking what is real and forming this alternate reality that is based on false promises and on just sheer dishonesty. And I think this is you can apply this in a variety of different circumstances across a variety of different positions within authority, or within society in general. But I think ultimately the problem too with the sheer amount of dishonesty that's out there, it makes it difficult for people to, I think, trust one another. And unfortunately, when people sort of build upon this lie, obviously it ends up crumbling down, but it ends up leaving an impact. And I think largely more so to other people than one may realize. Sometimes people think, oh, that person is exposed as a fraud. But what about all of the people who trusted that person and really put their put their maybe even livelihood in the care of maybe this person, you know, to not, you know, be straightforward and truthful. And I think largely it has to do with this fact that obviously it's, you could argue whether or not lying is sort of a part of human nature, and I'm not saying that everybody has to be 100% truthful 100% of the time and completely lay out everything that, you know, maybe you're thinking about as far as when somebody maybe asks you a question. But you know what I'm largely talking about is the kind of power that lying has, because if you're able to get away with it, you know, you can ultimately benefit a lot for yourself. And again, within various scenarios, you can think of sports and how there's all of these athletes that have cheated over the years. There have been politicians who have not have been the most straightforward and honest people as well. You know, you've got all of these different positions that ultimately end up sort of impacting people and sometimes end up, you know, tempting people to ultimately create a lie, create a uh, fake image for themselves in order to push forward a narrative and not push forward truth, because the truth has power and has meaning. And um, I think it also lying really does downplay, I think, achievement. I mean, if you really want to achieve something with your life, you know, it's done through honesty and transparency, and not through manipulation and through trying to use your own ends to really twist the truth instead of through genuine hard work. So I think that that's another thing too, that where lying comes into play and eventually ends up creating a lot of problems. And overall, I think that that aspect of lying is very uh, is not only bad, but is very, it just leaves a huge impact, and I think more so than I think a lot of people may even realize. Oftentimes, people say that sort of lying is, you know, kind of like, you know, it's a sort of kid concept in the sense that, you know, you sort of teach children, like, you know, the bad things and what you're not what they're not supposed to do. But then at the same time, you know, you see a lot of these kinds of vices being really um, paramount within adult life as well. So they kind of, almost these bad things end up getting carried, unfortunately, at times, and can leave a lot of damage. And I think lying is probably up there as probably one of the, you know, uh, probably of the most bad things that are out there as far as vices, because, you know, it's really it's really taking what is known and what is truthful, what is knowledge, and twisting it so that you ultimately benefit and that you ultimately don't get blamed for anything, instead of transparency, honesty, and, you know, just kind of admitting fault. And I think that's probably something too that unfortunately people sometimes get wound up in, is they feel like that they have to lie because they have to be right. And the thing is not everybody's right 100% of the time, or not everybody's narrative or ideology is going to maybe even fit within the realms of reality. So you kind of have to, you know, you kind of have to make adjustments and ultimately decide for yourself, you know, what you consider to be true, and obviously don't try to withhold information from people just for the sake of you having, you know, this false image. And I think that's really at the heart of really what I meant when I wanted to discuss this particular topic. I'm sorry if it got cut off. I'm going to try to re-upload this video and see if it works. You know, sometimes you just have to roll the dice sometimes with these videos, but I will try to make sure that all of the content gets uploaded. I would be more than happy to hear anybody's thoughts when it comes to this particular topic. But unfortunately, I think that's really ultimately all I can say. However, again, if there are any questions, comments, concerns, more than happy to answer them. Excuse me. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.